The first item, we have a abbreviated time today, but so we're going to go as quickly as we can through the opening part of the meeting. The first item on the agenda for us is the adoption of the agenda. We have one motion to approve. Do I have a second? Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay, the agenda is adopted. The second item is the approval of the October 23rd, 2025 minutes from our last meeting. Okay, is there a second? Second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Aye. Okay, that carries. Lisa, before we turn to the public comment period, you want to give us a little update?
I do. So we are down one member right now from our total roster. We're waiting on an appointment, and we do have a couple of people are out of town, and so we are going to have quorum only until about 5:15 tonight. We're going to move as quickly as we can. If there's an item that we don't get to tonight, it will automatically be deferred to the next meeting. So we ask if you are making comments, I know everyone gets 2 minutes, to be as swift as you can if possible so that we can make use of all of the minutes that we do have.
So the next item on the agenda is what the new process that we adopted last time, where we have an open period for public comment on items that have, where the public hearing is closed on our agenda. So we have a total of 20 minutes allocated to this, and each person will have 2 minutes. At this point, we have 2 people that have signed up on the list for this public comment, and the first is Derek Lyle, and I believe you're speaking on item number 1.
Good evening. My name is Derek Lyle. I live in... thank you. My name is Derek Lyle. I live in Salem Town, Nashville native, real estate developer, and active member of my community. I've served on the Salem Town Neighborhood Association Board for the last 3 years. I am strongly in favor of good housing policy that promote density, but here to express opposition again for item number 1 on the agenda. The new language in the substitute bill states that you can maintain 3 stories and 45 feet only if more than 50% of a block face is already over that height. That's seems arbitrary and inequitable. It fails to recognize that many neighborhoods in the urban core, like Salem Town, development occurs lot by lot incrementally. Under this rule, a property owner could have taller homes on either side, yet still be restricted to the lower building height, effectively penalizing someone that just hasn't developed yet. Personally, I can stand in my front yard, see multiple 3-story townhome developments, multiple single-story or 3-story houses, but under this bill, I would not be able to build at a similar scale on my 36-foot wide single-family lot. All we want in Salem Town is to have great walkable urban neighborhoods like you see in Chicago, Boston, other good walkable cities. This bill works against that. It takes away variety, takes away height, pins everybody into the same standard of locked in at 24-foot eve and 35-foot height. It's just not a good bill, in my opinion. And it's taking away existing property rights from people that have no idea that it's coming. I would ask you to exclude the urban core and appreciate all your efforts and work. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next on the list, we have Brian Newman, and also speaking on item number 1.
Thank you. I really appreciate the audience and the attention tonight. Like she said, my name is Brian Newman. I'm also a resident of Salem Town, and I respectfully oppose the height restrictions bill, the BL 1006, as currently written. And I urge this commission to exempt the core neighborhoods within the downtown loop from its provisions. The proposed height restrictions and the newly introduced exemption criteria appear arbitrary and misalign with the unique needs of the core areas. Downtown adjacent neighborhoods have consistently voiced support for increased density, walkability, architectural diversity, and affordability, and values that the height restrictions in this bill would undermine. The existing lot configurations and the density in the urban core already necessitate frequent exception requests, and including these neighborhoods in this bill would overwhelm the BZA or whatever governing body would be on this and stall the hard-fought and palpable momentum that we've seen towards a more vibrant, accessible, and character-rich downtown. This bill clearly targets challenges in other parts of the city and should not really be applied indiscriminately to areas where its impact would be counterproductive. Select areas inside the loop where height restrictions are appropriate already have access to historic overlays or specific neighborhood plans. We already have a chisel in our tool belt to address these issues with precision. And so why are we legislating a sledgehammer in these scenarios? I'd ask that you please consider a targeted exemption for neighborhoods inside the downtown loop to preserve the progress and vision that core neighborhoods have worked hard to achieve. I really appreciate your time and your consideration. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, the next item, we are wrapped up with our public comment period. The next item is the recognition of council members. And Councilman Koopman, do you want to speak now?
Commissioners, thanks so much, and I'll try to be brief. I know we've got a packed agenda and not a lot of time. But as I said last time, big supporter of housing and housing reform and density and the work that y'all are doing. Commend y'all on these tireless efforts. I've been working with the planning department now for a number of weeks on and off to try to figure out how we can address the height concern, but also, as you heard some of the public speak on, address the kind of the existing height and where it makes sense and where it doesn't. And what I've come to is there is a request that y'all would consider allowing us at the council. I don't know if that has to be in the staff recommendation or how that would have to be set up, but allow us at the council to leave the height as it is within the interstate loop. So within the interstate loop, our inner core where height would be appropriate, so it would be Germantown, Salemtown, Buena Vista, Hope Gardens. I think the rest of that core is DTC. So if there's a way in that staff recommendation at least to let council take that up, I wouldn't want to hold the whole bill up. I think that, overall we're hearing support for it, so I don't want to block it just from this one piece, but that would let the height stay the same in the core. And then again, would allow further work that I intend to do with my constituents in those different neighborhoods to look at the zoning and look at what's appropriate and what zoning could be there or other options. We know we've got RN, RL districts that might end up being appropriate in those areas. So I think there's a lot of opportunity. I think there's a lot of great work. But I would love to be a resounding yes on this bill, which I wouldn't be able to unless we can carve out that core. And I think that would be an appropriate measure, kind of given the scope of the bill and what's appropriate in a downtown core. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Gamble, do you want to go now? I figure you might be talking about the same issue.
Same one. Thank you. Good to see you all this evening. And I just want to concur with my colleague. I do appreciate the work that has been done by the staff and taking another look at this particular item and making changes in response to comments that we heard at the last public hearing here at the commission. And just to let you know, this item was deferred on public hearing at the Metro Council at our October. What day was it? November, first meeting in November. It has been deferred to the December 4th meeting. And so we have not taken this up in the council yet. I support the change that has been made by the staff in looking at the 50% of facade around the property. However, I do also support my colleague's suggestion that maybe the council could look at an amendment for this, and I'm not sure how that would impact if you all vote on this today. If an amendment that carves out the downtown core would make the bill disapproved, I don't know. So I guess that would need to be discussed among you, but I would support that as well. So just wanted to make that comment today and appreciate your work on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Huffman?
Good evening. I'll keep my comments as brief as I can be. I'm here speaking on item 14 and item 16 tonight. I want to cover each of those items briefly. Number one, the Donaldson Corporate Center. I want to highlight that this developer has been just amazing to work with in the sense that he's been community first. He could come in today and put 440 apartments down by right, and he's choosing to do something that benefits the community. Giving the community retail space is going to be very valuable. This is going to be right next to the number 6 bus line. With the Choose How You Move program expanding, that now is running every 30 minutes and will go down to every 18 minutes eventually. So this is going to be a really good development. Also, I want to comment just really quick on the corridor design overlay that myself and Councilmember Evans have been working on. We've had a couple community meetings. The last one was this week on Tuesday night. Been really positive feedback in regards to this one and the other one. But this one, just of note, we had some local businesses that came out. They were interested to learn. They were supportive. I think this is a good tool in the council's tool belt in regards to keeping our communities nice and tidy. So appreciate your support on both these items. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I don't think we have any other council members here, so I am going to turn it to Amelia for items for deferral or withdrawal.
Okay, items for deferral or withdrawal on tonight's agenda. Starting on page 4 of your agenda, item number 4, 2023 SP 048001, staff recommend, nope, I'm sorry. That one is on tentative consent. Starting on page 4 on item number 5, 2024 SP 053003, staff recommendation is to defer indefinitely. Item number 6, 2025 SP 045001, staff recommendation is deferred to December 11th. On page 5 of your agenda, item number 8, 2024 S139001, staff recommendation is deferred to December 11th. Item number 9, 2025 S145001, staff recommendation is deferred to December 11th. Item number 11, 15473 P001, staff recommendation is deferred to December 11th. On page 6 of your agenda, item number 12, 2025 Z016 PR001, staff recommendation is to defer indefinitely. On page 7 of your agenda, item number 19, 2025 S171001, staff recommendation is deferred to December 11th. Item number 21, 2025 S175001, staff recommendation is deferred to December 11th. On page 8 of your agenda, item number 23, 2025 S183001, staff recommendation is deferred to December 11th. Item number 26, 2025 Z0840001, staff recommendation is deferred to December 11th. On page 9 of your agenda, item number 29, 2025 Z093 PR001, staff recommendation is deferred to December 11th. And that concludes our items for deferral or withdrawal.
Okay, I'm going to read them back to you quickly, just to make sure. The items from deferral or withdrawal tonight are number 5, 6, 8, 9, 11, 12, 19, 21, 23, 26, and 29.
That's correct.
Okay, commissioners, that is our list of items for deferral or withdrawal. Do I have a motion to, and a second? Any further discussion? If not, all in favor? Okay, motion carries. The next item is the consent agenda.
Items on our consent agenda tonight, so I will go ahead and read through the items that are noted as tentatively on the consent agenda. I will ask if anyone is here in opposition. If you are in opposition, please raise your hand and we will take that item and put it on the agenda to be heard. Starting on page 4 of your agenda, item number 2, 2025 Z014 TX001. Is anyone here in opposition to this item? This item will be on the consent agenda. Item number 3, 2022 SP 030004 930 McFerrin. Is anyone here in opposition to this item? This item will be on the consent agenda. Item number 4, 2023 SP 048001. Is anyone here in opposition to this item? This item will be on the consent agenda. On page 5 of your agenda, item number 7, 2025 SP 047001. Is anyone here in opposition to this item? This item will be on the consent agenda. Item number 10, 2025 S154001. Is anyone here in opposition to this item? This item will be on the consent agenda. On page 6 of your agenda, item number 13, 2008 SP 002005. Is anyone here in opposition to this item? This item will be on the consent agenda. Item number 14, 2025 SP 041001. Is anyone here in opposition to this item? This item will be on the consent agenda. Item number 15, 2025 SP 052001. Is anyone here in opposition to this item? This item will be on the agenda to be heard. Item number 16, 2025 CDO 001001. Is anyone here in opposition to this item? This item will be on the consent agenda. On page 7 of your agenda, item number 17, 2024 S083004. Is anyone here in opposition to this item? This item will be on the consent agenda. Item number 18, 2025 S166001. Is anyone here in opposition to this item? This item will be on the consent agenda. Item number 20, 2025 S173001. Is anyone here in opposition to this item? This item will be placed on the agenda to be heard. On page 8 of your agenda, item number 22, 2025 S176001. Is anyone here in opposition to this item? This item will be on the consent agenda. Item number 24, 2025 Z075 PR001. Is anyone here in opposition to this item? This item will be on the agenda to be heard. Item number 25, 2025 Z082 PR001. Is anyone here in opposition to this item? This item will be on the consent agenda. Item number 27, 2025 Z085 PR001. Is anyone here in opposition to this item? This item will be on the consent agenda. Continuing on page 9 of the agenda, item number 28, 2025 Z091 PR001. Is anyone here in opposition to this item? This item will be on the consent agenda. Item number 30, 2025 Z094 PR001. Is anyone here in opposition to this item? This item will be on the consent agenda. Item number 31, 2025 Z095 PR001. Is anyone here in opposition to this item? This item will be on the consent agenda. Item number 32, 2025 Z096 PR001. Is anyone here in opposition to this item? This item will be on the consent agenda. Item number 33, 2025 Z098 PR001. Is anyone here in opposition to this item? This item will be on the consent agenda. And on page 10 of your agenda, item number 34, 2025 Z099 PR001. Is anyone here in opposition to this item? This item will be on the consent agenda. Now I will go ahead and read through the items on the consent agenda with their full caption and recommendation. As information for our audience, if you are not satisfied with the decision made by the Planning Commission today, you may appeal the decision by petitioning for a writ of cert with the Davidson County Chancery or Circuit Court. Your appeal must be filed within 60 days of the date of entry of the Planning Commission's decision. To ensure that your appeal is filed in a timely manner and that all procedural requirements have been met, please be advised that you should contact independent legal counsel. Our items on the consent agenda tonight, starting on page 4, item number 2, 2025 Z014 TX001. This is an amendment to chapters 13 and 17 of the Metro Code for the Access Management Manual. Staff recommendation is to approve. Item number 3, 2022 SP030004. This is an amendment to a specific plan to increase the number of residential and commercial units in the SP. Staff recommendation is to approve with conditions and disapprove without all conditions. Item number 4, 2023 SP048001. This is a request to rezone from R8 to SP for properties along Buena, Vista, and Cliff Drive to permit a mixed-use development. On page 5 of your agenda, item number 7, 2025 SP047001. This is a request to rezone from OR20 to SP zoning to permit a mixed-use development at 919 C Gallatin Avenue. Staff recommendation is to approve with conditions and disapprove without all conditions. Item number 10, 2025 S154001. This is a request for a final plat to create 4 lots on a portion of property along Whites Creek Pike. Staff recommendation is to approve with conditions including variances to Section 4-2.5 of the Metro subdivision regulations. On page 6 of your agenda, item number 13, 2008 SP 002005. This is a request to amend an SP for property located at 3839 Murfreesboro Pike to permit a mixed-use development. Staff recommendation is to approve with conditions, including the conditions in the updated memo before you guys, and disapprove without all conditions. Item number 14, 2025 SP 041001. This is a request to rezone from OR20 and MUL to SP zoning to permit a mixed-use development along Lebanon Pike. Staff recommendation is to approve with conditions and disapprove without all conditions. Item number 16, 2025 CDO 001001. This is a request to apply a corridor design overlay along Old Lebanon Dirt Road and Old Hickory Boulevard in Central Pike. Staff recommendation is to approve with a substitute ordinance. On page 7 of your agenda, item number 17, 2024 S083001. This is a request for a final plat to create 35 lots along Beautiful Valley Drive. Staff recommendation is to approve with conditions. Item number 18, 2025 S166001. This is a request for a final plat to create 72 lots along Hickory Hill Lane. Staff recommendation is to approve with conditions. On page 8 of your agenda, item number 22, 2025 S176001. This is a request for a final plat to create 4 lots along Tinnon Road. Staff recommendation is to approve with conditions, including variances to Chapter 4 of the Metro subdivision regulations. Item number 25, 2025 Z082 PR001. This is a request to rezone from RS5 to R6A for property located at 114 Rose Street. Staff recommendation is to approve. Item number 27, 2025 Z085 PR001. Staff, this is a request to rezone from OR20 to MULA and S for properties at 3827 Khorn Avenue. Staff recommendation is to approve. On page 9 of your agenda, item number 28, 2025 Z091 PR001. This is a request to rezone from CS to R6A for property along Ludy Street. Staff recommendation is to approve. Item number 30, 2025 Z094 PR001. This is a request to rezone from RA to IWD for property along Haney Avenue. Staff recommendation is to approve. Item number 31, 2025 Z095 PR001. This is a request to rezone from RS5 to R6A for property at 708 26th Avenue North. Staff recommendation is to approve. Item number 32, 2025 Z096 PR001. This is a request to rezone from RS10 to R10 for property at 1704 River Drive. Staff recommendation is to approve. Item number 33, 2025 Z098 PR001. This is a request to rezone from R6 to RM9 ANS for property at 308 Pulk Avenue. Staff recommendation is to approve. On page 10 of your agenda, item number 34, 2025 Z099 PR001. This is a request to rezone from RS10 to R10 for property located at 3417 Springbrook Drive. Staff recommendation is to approve. And under item I, other business, item number 35, confirmation memo of Downtown Code Design Review Committee member, and item 39 to accept the director's report and approve administrative items.
That was very impressive. Thank you. But I do have to read them back to you, so we're on the same page. Items on the consent agenda tonight are item 2, 3, 4, 7, 10, 13, 14, 16, 17, 18, 22, 25, 27, 28, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, and 39.
That's correct.
Perfect, thank you. Commissioners, that is our consent agenda for tonight. Do I have a motion to approve? Motion. And a second? Okay, any further discussion? If not, all in favor? Aye. Okay, and our consent agenda is approved. All right, so that leaves us with 4 items tonight that we're going to hear. Item 1, item 15, item 20, and items 24. Item 24. And you're recused from one, I know.
Okay. Dustin Shane, staff planner. This first item is a housing and infrastructure text amendment related to the R and RS districts. Quick summary, it kind of had two main planks that were a balance there between having more compatible height standards, going from 3 to 2.5 stories in our R and RS districts, but then also making, simplifying two-family use permitting, but not allowing two-family within single-family zoning. So since the last planning commission meeting, we worked with codes to arrive at that the standard will be 2.5 stories and 35 feet max height, unless 50% or more of the structures on a block face oriented to the same street are taller than 35 feet. In that case, the max height would be 3 stories and 45 feet. So we feel like this new language better respects the existing context, whether that's taller or shorter. So we recommend disapproval as filed and approval with a substitute. And again, this is scheduled for council public hearing on December 4th. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, so commissioners, as you know, we had a long discussion about this at our last meeting. We have closed the public hearing, so it is just open to our deliberation now. Commissioner Smith, can I start with you?
Sure. I think it's definitely a step in the right direction and indicative of what we spoke of last time. I'm curious what staff thinks about an exclusion or some type of language suggesting or leaving that up to council or suggesting they take a look at it, and if they thought that the loop was a good border there, because I'm certainly open to that suggestion, especially since council's asked for it.
Hi, so we as staff have not analyzed that as a potential exemption. We do believe that there is, we have heard from the community that there is concern around height, around new construction of height, and so that it's too tall. And so that is why we put this on the table at 2 stories and 35 feet. We do understand that it has been 3 stories and 45 feet for a number of years. And so we did want to try to think of a solution. We worked with code, something that would be, you know, could be administrated. We had originally thought, well, maybe we'll just look at the 2 immediately adjacent, but then we were afraid that that would be too restrictive. And so we tried to broaden it to the whole block, but set a standard that it was 50%, not higher. And so I think that there are a number of ways that you could maybe get to it. This is what we're proposing. We did write into the staff report that if council wants to consider other things, I don't think that we could make a recommendation on the fly on an exemption because we just simply have not had an opportunity to study that or to look at what the heights really are on the new construction. There are some 3 stories, but there's a lot of 2 stories or 2.5 stories as well. And so we just haven't had an opportunity to analyze it. I think that if you all wanted to recommend this, but include some language that should council want to consider further opportunities to amend, that you all would be supportive of that, then I think that that's also okay. We just really felt like, as the department, it's important to put this on the table because we have heard concern from the community around buildings that are too tall, specifically 1 and 2 family.
I'm open to that. I think giving more flexibility and leaving that up to some amount of council discretion, which it is theirs anyway, makes sense to me. I'm glad we took a step in that direction, and yep, thanks.
Lisa, could you clarify quickly what is maybe meant by the loop? Are we just talking about from 40 to 24, not going all the way out to 440?
We haven't analyzed that, and so I haven't seen a map, and so I am not certain. I would have to defer to the council member. He's the one that sort of put that on the table. That's not something that staff put on the table.
Okay. would you mind clarifying that just for us, if that is something we want to keep on our radar?
No, I appreciate that. It would be the 65, 24, 40 loop, which seems like it would be simple to codify, but each of those legs have the 24, 65, 65, 40 on it, so that's that inner circle.
Yeah, okay, great, thank you. Commissioner Haynes?
So Lisa, from a process perspective, following up on Commissioner Smith's idea, does the council then propose something back to staff prior to the next council meeting? How does that work from a process perspective?
Probably no. I think that if you all wanted to, at this point, in your recommendation, because this is scheduled for council public hearing on December 4th, so if you all wanted to leave flexibility, there's a couple of different things that you could do. You could just say, nope, we're approving what we're approving, and then if council sort of makes changes, then we would have to determine whether or not it needs to be re-referred to you all based on what those changes are. And that's analysis that myself and Metro Legal sort of do every time there's an amendment on bills, is we say, is that within the scope of what the Planning Commission recommended, or is it loosening restrictions, or is it tightening it up? And then if it's sort of tightening it up, it can generally stay within your recommendation, but if it's loosening, then it might have to be re-referred to us. So if you sort of just say, we're just recommending what we're recommending, and you don't say anything about another option, then it would likely have to be re-referred. If you all say at this point, we recommend approval of this, but we also acknowledge that council may make further changes, and we also recommend approval of that, then it would not have to be re-referred. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. And so the concern I would have is if other council people between now and then started pulling out their districts and we completely watered down the effectiveness of the bill. So we might try to bring it back to this body depending on how that goes.
Anybody over here have some comments?
So with the comments that are made, then can we make the recommendation, would it limit it to that particular area that the council people have spoken about?
You could, yes. You're the body, you're making the recommendation. Staff has given you an option. You can go further than that. I just caution a bit that we haven't done any analysis, and so we really can't, as staff, give you our view on what impact that may have. And so you're having to make decisions on the fly on something that we haven't analyzed, essentially.
Well, I think I would be in support of it as has been suggested, or staff recommendation, with that statement in there that is limited to that area, but let council decide that. And then they can determine if it has to come back to planning.
Commissioner Leslie, anything from you? No, I do not. Okay. I think I'm on the same page as Commissioner Smith, and that I would be okay with specifically mentioning that one neighborhood, because as I think about it, there already is a lot of height in that area. I think if my brain is working right, that area seems safe. But I guess if we're at this point, then I would solicit a motion from someone. Unless there's further discussion. Yeah.
I'll make a motion that we disapprove his file and approve the substitute with a further recommendation that the Metro Council look further at loosening height restrictions, or loosening the enhanced height restrictions within the urban core defined by the Interstate 654024 Interstate Loop. It's a little wordy.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Then motion carries. All right. That was very well done, guys. We are on to item number 15. Yeah, item 15. Oh, wait. We have to, 1 second. We have the staff report. The staff will do first, and then we'll go to the public hearing. But I appreciate your promptness.
This is item number 15 on the agenda. The request is to permit a multifamily residential development. Staff's recommendation is to approve with conditions and disapprove without all conditions. The 6.8 acre site consists of 4 parcels located northeast at the intersection of Antioch Pike and Glencliff Road. Surrounding land uses are vacant single-family and 1- and 2-family residential, as well as institutional, with surrounding zoning districts being RS 7.5, R8, and RM9 NS. There are a couple policies on the site: suburban neighborhood evolving, which is intended to create and enhance suburban residential neighborhoods, and conservation, which is intended to preserve environmentally sensitive land features through protection and remediation. On this site, the conservation policy likely addresses steep slopes to the south. The plan is regulatory in nature and provides standards that are to be reviewed for compliance with the final site plan application. The proposed standards include a maximum number of units, prohibited uses, standards for site planning and design. A maximum of 80 units is proposed on the site, with both types of short-term rental property prohibited, and height is limited to 3 stories and 35 feet. Pedestrian connectivity is proposed internal to the site and on the site's Glencliff Road frontage through sidewalks. Vehicular access will be determined with NDOT prior to final, but will not be taken from Antioch Pike, and a traffic study will also be conducted prior to permitting. The proposed SP can achieve the goals of the T3NE policy through moderate residential density, with the site being located at the intersection of a collector road and being an evolving policy near a bus stop. There are provisions for MCSP requirements to be met on the Glencliff Road frontage, and a continuous sidewalk network from the northern to the southern boundary of the SP along Glencliff Road, and sidewalks will be provided within the existing right-of-way for the frontage for the parcel that is no longer part of the request. With the site being located across from Glencliff Elementary School, provisions for safe pedestrian connectivity are appropriate. And the southern portion of the site consists of the conservation policy, which usually is showing that there's environmental features that are sensitive, and so this portion is proposed to operate as active open space. Since the proposed SP provides additional housing choices near existing transit and schools and improves the pedestrian network, staff recommends approval with condition and disapproval without all conditions. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll go ahead and open up the public hearing, and the applicant will have 8 minutes to speak, and you can save 2 minutes of that for rebuttal.
Thank you very much, Commissioners. I will be as brief as humanly possible because I know you got quite a few things to get through tonight. Thank you so much for your time today. I want to thank the neighborhood organization. Glencliff is a very well-organized organization, and we have done tremendous amounts of involvement in the neighborhood in bringing this proposal forward to you today. Initially, this was a request for RM20 or RM zoning. I believe it was RM15 at the time. And we met with the neighborhood multiple times. We met with the board. We posted on Facebook, engaged on Facebook, and engaged as much as possible with the neighborhood. One of the things that we heard over and over again, this is a neighborhood that had just on the backs of a large rezone declined that in this district. They wanted the density focused on corridors, and Antioch Pike is a great corridor for that. As mentioned, this site's topography and the landscape allows for great space for trails and a public playground. The reason we swapped over to an SP was specifically to address some of the neighborhood concerns that were focused around developers who had come in making promises that they did not then deliver on. And so those promises are now put forth into this bill. The bill is a culmination of work with the neighborhood, and it balances really well the neighborhood's concerns and desires that they want to see, as well as the need for additional housing here in Nashville. The RM20 Swiss. So we have multiple letters of support. We've got about 16 letters of support. We've councilwoman support, and most importantly, board support. And I say most importantly because the board members have been fervent in getting the voices of their neighborhood heard. I posted my phone number, personal phone number, probably 50 times in the Facebook to hear every single person's point of view, what the concerns were, what were the driving factors in what they wanted to see. And this proposal has shifted after multiple meetings with the neighborhood. Almost exclusively, not totally exclusively, but almost exclusively, our opposition lies just to the north in the Twin Oaks subdivision. Those homes were built in the 90s, and the concerns on construction, unfortunately, they are on the backs of another development just to the north of this. And then with the choice lanes coming alongside, development is a very hot topic for them, and it's a very sensitive topic, and I completely understand that. So their concerns are around, noise and the nature. A lot of these butt up to a yard that admittedly does not belong to them. It belongs to the homeowner that is represented here today, Mr. Weeks. And it is beautiful, and they have been able to utilize that for many, many years. But unfortunately, the need for housing, in my opinion, far outweighs the use of someone else's property over the course of decades. That being said, we've engaged with them as much as possible. We offered to build a fence along that area. It's really not feasible when looking at the site, and that was not an ultimate request that was made by the opposition here. There is some opposition that is going to be voicing tonight, and that opposition screamed loudly at a neighborhood meeting that we don't want any more neighbors. And that was the sentiment. And I don't feel personally that that is a justified sentiment in Nashville. Nashville needs additional housing to welcome all and make room for all. And a bill like this is a perfect balance of working with the neighborhood, being as intentional as possible with density where it's appropriate to bring forth something that is agreeable and allows for additional density in the neighborhood. I will yield the rest of my time, if possible, for rebuttal to the opposition, if that's okay. 2 minutes? Can I have additional support if anybody would like to speak?
In one moment, yes.
Within this time.
Yeah.
Within this time. Anybody else want to
Oh, no, we'll give them time to speak.
They have time.
They have their own.
They have their own
2
time.
minutes.
Okay, well then, that's good for me, because I want to be quick with your time, so thank you, and appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, so we are going to open this up for public hearing, and for those of you who have been here before, we are doing it a little bit differently now. We are now bringing everybody up who wants to comment on this project together, so we're no longer separating people out in terms of opponents and or supporters and opponents. So if you are interested in talking about this item, please come forward, and look forward to hearing from you. Please, you'll have 2 minutes, and just provide us your name and where you live. General area where you live. And if I could just ask, in the name of trying to keep us all going, if you are going to comment, to just line up in the center.
Thank you so much for having us. I really appreciate your time. I am a homeowner in the Twin Oaks neighborhood, and this property line directly backs up to my backyard, and this will decrease my privacy. This will decrease my property value and my quality of life. The developer to the Twin Oaks neighborhood has not shown any interest in understanding what our community actually needs. You can tell that they are not serious about this conversation because of reasons and examples that they have given us. For example, they're throwing out concessions and things thinking that what we want when for example, they're throwing out ideas for concessions and said things that they think that we should have, like a park, when there already is a park directly across the street from us at the elementary school. They don't understand what the community needs, and they did not take the time to actually understand. They posted a few times on Facebook. They sent out one letter, so they did not do the exact, they did not give an accurate amount of time to actually mold the neighborhood. They also did not provide any information that can show that the land buffer that they proposed will decrease any noise pollution from the current area. The community needs should be paramount. We are not against growth. We are against the community selling out for profit. There will be a massive change coming in the TDOT when the choice lanes construction starts, and the community needs to know what is going to happen with that before they can move forward with this. These changes need to be paused, and this rezoning needs to be paused so we can understand what TDOT is doing with choice lanes and that the developer truly understands what the neighborhood needs. Just on Tuesday, I asked the developer about safety of kids walking to school and playing in the playground, and his response was, he responded by telling me that the community His response told me he doesn't really take the community needs seriously because kids walk to school every day and their safety is not a concern. Residents of the
That was
Glencliff
the
area
full
are an
2 minutes, sir.
afterthought.
That was your full 2 minutes.
Thank
Thank you. No, you get your rebuttal at the end of the whole, yeah, no worries. Hi.
My name's Kristen Haney. I live at 617 Twin Oaks Court. I am right behind this proposed development. For me, there's going to be a street going 20 feet behind my house. There's going to be a landscape barrier that's going to take time for privacy and noise reduction. I was offered a fence, which is really what I wanted, but I was offered a fence if I had written a letter of support, and I can't do that. There's water retention in my neighbor's yard. I have a video of that, but she's a nurse and she couldn't be here tonight. And it's just that runs off when it rains hard and it comes into ours. Again, like was said previously, Choice Lanes is going to be going on 24, and that's going to be adding to the congestion with us. Just as street calming was done on Antioch Pike, it's going to be adding more cars. Noble Place is the other development that is just on the other side of us, and then we're going to be sandwiched in between two developments. And also, Noble Place hasn't even sold all of their units. They're up for rent now. Those units are up for rent. So this is just changing the character of our neighborhood. I'm not opposed to growth. It's changing the character of this beautiful neighborhood that I love. And I feel like regular homeowners can't even compete when there's like developments and corporations coming in and buying up these homes. A regular homeowner, a family wouldn't be able to live in this great neighborhood. I do just feel like we're being pushed out of the neighborhood to make room for more units. I don't know if do these people even live in Nashville yet. You know, we live here currently, and I feel like our voices and our concerns should be taken into account. Just like the people that might move in here later. Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you. Anyone else who would like to speak to this item in support or opposition? If not, then the applicant, now you have your 2 minutes for rebuttal.
Thank you very much. I would like to know, I do believe that both the opposition live in the same household along this. With regards to the park was something that we were specifically requested from the neighborhood, the trails and greenways and a public access park, and that was why that was put into there. The fence that was offered, but upon review of the site itself, a fence would do more harm than good in this situation. The neighbors did not even want a fence there because you're taking out more of trees, mature trees that are along that pathway to preserve sound pollution and everything going into that. Regarding the stormwater and the lack of concern for the neighborhood, I was at the Twin Oaks property yesterday, just described regarding that swell. That is intentional grading when the development was put together for water runoff. It runs behind the homes in an intentional swell along a pattern along the site. We will have to have our site engineered and graded. Michael Garrigan is our engineer on this site. I think he's done more of these than anybody else in the city. And their voice has been heard. They have fervently reached out been at all the meetings and been a part of the whole process. One quick note before I go. Bill Weeks is the northernmost property on this subdivision that we are looking to rezone. He's the closest to the Twin Oaks property. Back in the 90s when this was originally developed, Bill did not want to see Twin Oaks developed whatsoever. I don't know that he fully opposed it, but had his opposition been successful, none of the homeowners in opposition would have a home here in Nashville today in that site. Nashville is a home for all, and we have addressed as many concerns as possible for these homeowners. If we would like to add a 20-foot buffer off of that northern Twin Oaks property, we would be agreeable to do that as well. That is not currently written into the SP document as of right now. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. With that, we do not have the councilwoman here, so we will close the public hearing. Commissioner Haynes, would you like to start us off?
I think this is a good development. I am curious from a staff's perspective why the lot in the middle has been excluded, just for my own information.
So originally when it was filed as a rezoning, it included that one, but when they refiled as a SP, they took that one out. So we didn't ask them to remove it or anything like that. That was the revised application.
And do you think the plan will be better with this 20-foot buffer that the applicant has just proposed?
I mean, this is a regulatory SP, so we don't have a plan at this point, but I don't know that if the applicant's agreeable to a 20-foot buffer, then I don't see there's any downside of doing that.
Commissioners, any further comments on this one? Yeah, Commissioner Henley.
I just wanted to add, if you do want to include language around a buffer, I would be specific in that language to say that a 20-foot buffer with existing vegetation that's healthy to be maintained as much as possible, and to plant, if planted, to plant at a C level of density. Just if we get to that point, I just wanted to note that I think it's important for those details.
Commissioner Henley.
Thank you, Chair. Mostly comments, not really questions. I think having heard those that came to speak, and then also reading through some of the letters of opposition that were there, I think a lot of it is, I think, characterized as just pretty much a swell of development in the community, and understandably so. I think there's pushback to that. But again, I think the shift from just a straight rezone to an SP does allow for a lot of the things that would actually address a lot of the concerns that I saw. Obviously, there's some preliminary traffic information, and there'll be more traffic analysis done. I agree with my fellow commissioner. I think it's a good development. I think the offer we heard today for maybe a more robust buffer, I guess is the way I would characterize it, is probably helpful to address some of the immediate concerns expressed, particularly by those to the north of the property. And, developing across or near a school, particularly elementary school, is something that has to be done very sensitively. I think that from what I've heard, at least presented to us from the applicant, that they are taking that into great consideration. So I'm inclined to support.
Great. Any further comments? Anybody down there? All right. Well, if not, then I will see if someone's ready to make a motion.
I was pausing to see if Commissioner Haynes wanted to do that, since he hasn't done one in a while, but I'm glad to do it. I'd like to make a motion to accept staff recommendation to approve with conditions and disapprove without all conditions, and to at least, and this may not be proper, but explore the proposed modification to the buffer language that's not currently in the SP language.
Any further discussion? If not, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, so we are at the end of the time that we have, unfortunately. I think there are 2 items that we were not able to get to. Both of those items will be rolled automatically to the next meeting. I know that one of those is a subdivision, and so there are some sort of state rules around subdivisions where there's a certain amount of time, once it's been on an agenda, for it to be considered, or it's deemed approved. And so that clock will start today. That's 60 days. So for this subdivision, that would start today. So those items, item number 2025S 173001, and item number 24, 2025Z 075 PR001, will both be deferred automatically to the next meeting, which is December 11th. Okay. Do you want to just?
All right, well, I apologize for our challenges this evening, but thank you, and hope that you will come back for the December 11th meeting. And with that, can I see if we have a motion to adjourn? So moved. All right, I guess that's a done deal. Thank you all.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.